Alright, so I'm just going to do a quick video here. This really works for any flat tire on any kind of bike, but it just so happens that I have the same wheel and tire that you should have on your Domane. So, got a flat tire on the side of the road. First and foremost, we want to get rid of our valve nut here that holds the press valve on the wheel to keep it from rattling around. Right now it's just kind of in our way, so we'll get rid of that. I don't have a flat, so I just need to let all the air out of the tire, but even if you have a puncture, you want to make sure all the air is out of that tube. So we're going to hold that valve down, close it back up, and then we're going to go back, and then we're going to go around and get that bead of the tire off of the rim. And this is the part that I'm talking about both now and when we're putting the tire back on. We want to make sure the bead, the edge of the tire, is down in the middle of the rim. And that's important because the rim is kind of concaved, so it dips down a little bit in the middle, so it just makes the rim a little bit smaller in the middle and kind of loosens up the tire. So some people like to move all the way to the other side of the valve for taking the tire off. I just move a little bit away from the valve, get our tire lever, get it under the bead of the tire, and then kind of work out a little bit, work back, and then just push away from you. Get the bead of that tire off on one side. Once we get that off, go ahead and get the tube removed out of here. And one thing I really like to point out on this step is just keeping the tire and the rim or wheel in the same orientation. That way, let's say we have a puncture, we do have a puncture, it's not a pinch flat or anything, and there's something still in the tire. A lot of people like to just search around. Well, if you have a source of air, like if you're doing it at home with a floor pump, or if you have a frame pump, or if you're comfortable using CO2 to do this, just add a little bit of tire, or add a little air to the tube. You can find where the puncture is. Let's say it's right here on the tube. We can get our wheel back, find our valve hole, line up the tube, and we have a general idea of where that debris is still going to be in the tire, so we can get that taken care of. But let's just say this is our new tube. Peel the tire back so we can see that valve hole down in there. Put our valve in there, and then get that tire worked over the tube. And at this stage, I just like to worry about getting the tube up into the tire. We don't need to stress over getting anything else worked over. Just get the tube up into the tire. And then I like to make another pass where I'm actually getting the tube up over the rim, but still leaving the tire kind of alone. So just kind of makes everything work together a little bit easier. So now that we got the tube up in the tire and then over the rim, we're going to start basically opposite of the valve. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but we'll start opposite of the valve. Kind of just work that first little bit of the tire on. And just going to kind of work on one side and then the other. And then once you get close to the valve, you kind of bring that valve centered up here. And you can see this is obviously where it gets kind of tight. So I'm going to hold this side, start working on this side with my right hand, get about halfway around, come back and hold it, and then go back and push the tire down in the center of the rim. And then that'll kind of loosen things up a little bit. And then at this point, like it looks, I'm holding really tight, but I'm not really forcing too much of the tire on, just working a little bit at a time. Hold it tight, work a little bit. And then when you can start to see brake track popping up, that's where it'll just kind of pop on. Push that valve up so the tube is up into the tire, add your air, and you should be good to go. Hope that helps.